Hello, everyone. Health Coach Rick here. Thanks for joining us tonight. And I want to extend greetings to my fellow health coach, Leslie. How are you tonight, Leslie?
Hey, we are wonderful here in Green Bay. It is finally sunny, so we're happy.
Fantastic. Okay. And welcome to our guests, Bernie and Mary. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Hello, Rick. Mary.
Excellent.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Really so excited to have you guys share your stories. To our audience, I know that we're going to probably not have a lot of people as we start, but it'll grow as we go along here. Please say hi. Let us know that you're here. Also, let us know where you're from and maybe even what phase of the program you're in. I think all of that would be really great. So guys, Green Bay, Bellin Health, HMR,
Yes.
Bellin Health in Green Bay. I goes without saying you're Packer fans. Am I correct in saying that?
We'll just pretend like I am for sake of this discussion. I know Bernie and Mary, no different, but we're connected with the Packers, so we'll go with that.
We are Packer fans.
Yes, I bet you there are quite a few Packer fans listening. And just so you know, we did happen to be able to arrange to have none other than Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams watching. They're on the edge of their seats, waiting to hear your story, Bernie and Mary, just waiting to comment. So no pressure there. Hey, let me ask, as we're starting off here, do you want to say hi to anyone? Who's watching, Leslie?
I was gonna say I will go first because it's super exciting. Our clinic right now has phase 1 and phase 2 classes going on. So they're all meeting downstairs watching and can't wait to hear from Mary and Bernie. Mary's part of that phase 2 group, so it's quite exciting for us to have them watching tonight.
Ooh, fantastic. Celebrity status here, Mary. How fantastic.
I miss my group.
All right. Well, I think you're talking to a lot more people tonight, and there'll be people who watch this, the recording of this as well. So it's going to have a far reach. Let me just turn the volume down here. Sorry, that's my echo, guys. Hey, Leslie, you guys won an award recently. Can you just quickly share?
I was going to say, of course, Rick, you bet. We actually, in the Green Bay area, we do a fun thing called Best of the Bay. And it really stretches from best restaurants to stores to healthcare providers. And that's where we come in. So we've been doing this back in Green Bay for 16 years. We've been here. And we've always put in for Best of the Bay for best weight loss program. And this year, again, we got it, third year in a row. So we get very excited about it. So we get to put that up at our clinic and everything. So we love that. We got recognized for it, and it's great in the community. And then, of course, gets our name out there much more. So we love that. So we got Best of the Bay again.
Beautiful. What a testimony for the work that you do. Great job, and congratulations to all of you involved at the clinic. That's really great, Leslie. All right.
Thank you.
Let's jump into our theme here. We'll repeat it several times. It's maybe a provocative question if you really think about the implications of it. And here it is. Our theme is what can be different this time around? In other words, learning from the past, whether it's past dieting experiences, maybe it's even past programs, different programs that you've done, any experience with your weight loss or your history of working to manage your weight, learning from the past to have a better experience now, and ultimately a better experience with your weight management in the future. Honestly, it's obvious for most people, this isn't your first rodeo with weight loss or weight management, just speaking to everyone in our audience. And I'm willing to bet that there are some things that you have learned, maybe even mistakes that you want to avoid that you might have made in the past, all in the spirit of helping you achieve the result that you really want with your weight and with your health this time. So Bernie and Mary, we had a chance, the four of us, to have a great conversation last week. You shared, you've both had previous experience with HMR before this go around, but this time you are doing a few things very different to support you to be more successful. So we're going to hear from you and see if there's really anything for anyone in the audience to gain first from you sharing about your experience. And to our audience, we'd also like to involve you in this question. Is there anything that you're doing differently now that's supporting your continued progress, whether you're in phase 1 or in phase 2? Could be something that's very different that you're in your whole approach this time around from the past, or it could be something that you're just doing differently. Recently, you started to do it and it's making a difference for you. So we hope to generate a whole lot of ideas and to see if there's anything new when we finish here to bring in to the next week of either weight loss or weight management. So with that, what I'd like to do is just welcome some people who have joined us here. I see the feed is kind of blowing up, Leslie. I'm just going to say hi to just a select few. I always have to say hi to Jennifer, who I worked with for so long. Jennifer, recent milestone. We saw that that you shared on the Facebook page. Really great. Hey, Bob, Shanna, Roseanne, Barbara, my partner in crime, Nancy is here. Hey, Nance. Cheryl, hello, Cheryl in California. Fantastic. Sam, there's just so many people joining us here, guys. It's just they're coming in droves. I'm not going to be able to represent them all. Amber is saying hi to Pam. Okay, so a little cross-pollination. Echo from Illinois is here. Okay, fabulous. I'll represent people's comments as well as we go along here. So our theme, again, learning from the past, maybe doing some things differently this time around, with the goal being to achieve your best results possible. So with that, let's transition into hearing from you, Bernie and Mary. You know, as we like to do in these events, we like to hear a little bit about what life was like before HMR. You know, there's a shared experience that everyone in our audience has had, and you're about to get into your version of it, which is things weren't going the way you wanted them to go with your weight, maybe with your quality of life, and it really steered you to HMR. So Bernie, why don't you start us off here a little bit? I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about life before HMR, and undoubtedly you're going to talk about some things that you wanted to see a change in. And I would ask our audience, we always ask this, but really think about this. What was one aspect, just pick one aspect of your quality of life before HMR that you felt strongly you wanted to see a change in? And with that, Bernie, tell us about your life before HMR.
Well, before HMR, and it was, I went, like I say, this is the second time I went through it, but 12 years ago, I went through it the first time. But prior to that, I was pretty much overweight most of the time. I'd go on these diets, you know, self-proclaimed diets, nothing ever off of a script, let's say, not a program like the HMR. And yeah, I did lose the weight, but if you don't go back to, I went back to the same way that I was eating before, you know, and that just didn't work. And so that's basically, yeah, I lost a lot of poundage. I always say I lost and gained about my weight of 2 times in my previous life. Yeah. But it was, yeah, I always felt better after I lost the weight, you know, healthier. And I never had any health issues to speak of as far as high blood pressure or anything like that. It was just that I was overweight. And once, you know, I was always in, I guess I was thinking about this earlier today too. I says, when I was always in 38 size pants, and then all of a sudden 40s. And then when I hit 42s, I says, no, this has got to stop. So that was one thing too, that got me back on the program again the second time also. So, yeah, and it's the weight. I mean, I can, you know, when I lift something, let's say now, I've lost over 45 pounds this last time around, even if like the other times, like for instance, carrying 2 bags of salt in the basement for a water softener. Holy man, I was carrying that around all these years, you know? Wow. It's amazing when you sit and think about the weight you lost and how it affects your knees and stuff and that type of thing. So there were some, benefits in that area too. Let's say where my aches and pains went away somewhat also.
Yeah. So Bernie, you had shared that you were, you know, growing up, it was about a big farm life experience that you had, and that, you know, the food choices, a lot of ice cream and dessert, that was sort of characterized what life was like back then. Did you say 12 kids? Did I?
Yes, came from a family of 12, nine brothers, three girls, and like we talked earlier too, when that plate came around on the table with whatever was on it, you took what you wanted because it wasn't coming around the second time.
Right.
But there was always dessert, always for dinner and supper, and then what was left was always around, and you always had ice cream in the freezer. You know, that we came from a dairy farm, so there was always plenty to eat, and sure, that was part of the problem there too. Yeah, sure. It was always that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So with that, you decided to get serious about some weight loss here, and here you show up at HMR. Great. And now you
Yes.
mentioned you've done this twice now, which is kind of one of our theme here. You've come back to this. We'll get to this when we talk about your phase 2 experience, but it seems like you've approached this second time around with an open mind and really a commitment to doing things a little bit differently. So we'll look forward to hearing about that. Mary, tell us a little bit about your experience pre-HMR, about dieting experience, what you were experiencing with your health. You mentioned some quality of life things. Give us a sense of it.
Yeah, I think similar to Bernie, I've had weight management issues since adolescence and would go up. I'd try every diet, if you will, the grapefruit, I mean, all of them. And and they'd work for a period of time and I'd go down, but then I was constantly yo-yoing up and down and up and down and up and down. And I think it was the early 1990s. I was working at a hospital that, like Bellin Health, had a clinic associated with it, and they had this HMR program. And I had tried every diet under the sun.
Right.
Like Bernie, I was blessed genetically that I wasn't really experiencing high blood pressure, diabetes, some of the other issues. I think as much as anything, it was impacting my mental and emotional health, that I just didn't feel good about myself. And I didn't like my body in space. I just felt abnormal. And so they offered this HMR program. I didn't know anything about it, but I thought, well, I've tried everything else, why not? And so went into HMR and had immediate success. At that time, I think HMR was relatively new. So they didn't have the healthy solutions options. There weren't entrees at that time. So it was just the shakes. And for whatever reason, I latched onto that and it worked. And so I lost about 140 pounds over 9 months and totally changed everything. My outlook, how I felt, just my mental health. And I maintained that for a few years. I went up a little, bounced around a little bit, but I stayed. If you lose 140 pounds, gaining 30 or 40 doesn't seem quite that bad. So I was still down about 100 pounds. And then I don't know what happened. I went back to the same habits as Bernie. I think I stopped exercising just over time, and I gained all of the weight back and then some. I ended up over 300 pounds and now was starting to have some joint issues. And so knew from past experience, I had success losing weight on HMR. And so I was in the Green Bay area then and saw that Bellin Health had an HMR clinic. And so I was like, well, I know this works. And so I'm gonna go back and do it again. And so I did, and again, lost, I think, 160 pounds that time or something. And I had a knee replacement. And so now I could be more mobile. My recovery went well. I maintained it again pretty well for about 3 years. And then things just started creeping back on. And in between that time, I tried healthy solutions. I tried different options. I tried different things, but I never embraced it, quite honestly. So I gained the weight back again. So this is my third rodeo, if you will, losing this time 150 pounds. And as we'll talk about with transitioning to phase 2 and what you do things differently, I think this time, I remember when I decided to do the program again, a relative of mine, very supportive, said, but what are you going to do different this time, Mary? So, you can't keep doing this over and over. And I remember thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do different, but I know I need to get this weight off. And I know that I can get the weight off with HMR and then I'll figure it out. And so I went in the third time thinking, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need to get the weight off. And in the process then have worked to figure out what to do different.
Yeah. Mary, the clarity with which you shared question that you asked yourself, I really informed the whole theme that Leslie and I have sort of landed on for this event tonight, which is there something to do different than the past? Or maybe I'm speaking to the audience now, in your active work right now, whether you're in phase 1 or phase 2, is there a next step to take to elevate your game for better results? So that I give you credit really for the theme. And when we get to Bernie's story, he's done one very big thing very differently as it relates to phase 2, right, Leslie? And
Yes, he does.
yeah, we'll get into that. Hey, I just want to reflect a couple of the comments. There's so many in the audience, but we asked what was something that you were experiencing that you wanted to experience a change in that had you joining HMR. Barbara, thanks for your comment here. She was tired all the time. Her clothes didn't fit, out of breath, just getting ready for work. And then Lisa commented in response to your comments right there, Mary, about just being more emotional, maybe even than physical, some of the things that you felt like you were feeling compromised in. And she just said, I remember those feelings so well. So Lisa really shares what you're saying there. All right, so let's turn the corner and talk about a little bit more about phase 1. I think, Bernie, if I could share your photo here.
Oh, which one?
Both of them.
Here he is.
I must say, it's rather dashing figure on the right there, Bernie.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. Really, really nice. And I do think that's a Cannondale bike. Do I have that right?
That is correct.
Yeah, you're not fooling around with the biking.
No, I've had that bike probably for 15 years, I think. So
well, the Cannondales will last. They're top notch. Really, really
there
nice.
you go.
Yeah. So Laura says, in response to your picture, first of all, hey everyone, and then she says, I recognize these faces. So you guys must know Laura. Bernie, you look great. That's what Laura says.
Okay. Well, thank you, Laura.
Yeah, really, really nice. Hello from Gina. Hi, Gina. Nat, excellent. Psyched that you're here. Really cool. And then just back to your comments, Mary. Renee says, Mary, you are not alone. At least you never gave up. And boy, is that true. Just talking to you, getting to know you a bit in the last week, and you have not given up. You're anything but a quitter, and we'll get even a better sense of that when we talk about phase 1 and then especially phase 2. So let's talk about Bert. I'm going to have you say a little bit. Actually, I think you could tackle this together, Leslie. Let me quickly show
Sure.
Mary's picture here. Look at that difference here. Mary, you should be so proud of this. Just so much work that went into what you've accomplished here. And we're going to hear about what worked about phase 1 for both of you. And I guess I would ask our audience as well, because we really do have a lot of experience in our audience. I saw Carolyn there. Hey, Carolyn, miss having you in our weight loss group. To the audience, as you and Bernie and Mary are speaking about what worked for you in phase 1, I would ask, for those of you who either have been through phase 1 and feel like you have some advice that you would leverage to others who are newer to phase 1, or you might be in phase 1 and just feel like it would be useful if I had heard this advice when I first started. What advice would you give to others to support them to get the most out of phase 1? Because that really, Leslie, is what we're going to talk about here with Bernie and Mary. So why don't you take over and talk to them a little bit about their experience in phase 1?
Sure. And now for both of you guys, I know with having you for so long, we really emphasized a lot of those behaviors that we focused on, and we'll kind of hit on each of them, and you guys can just sort of chime in and talk about how important that piece was for you. A big one was the simplicity. So as you guys both shared, that was how the program was simple. If you can just elaborate on how that made it so much easier to come back and restart and get going again. Simplicity.
Yes. Let's talk about that. Boy, what an underrated benefit of the program. Mary, you said a lot about simplicity. What would you say about how it helped you
Yeah,
to stay the course?
I think at the time I didn't truly realize it as much of how much I was out of control, that my eating was out of control, my environment was out of control. I didn't even know how to get a handle on it. I didn't know where to start to have an impact. And so when I saw HMR and it was like, well, you just drink these shakes and that's it. And I was like, well, okay, I can do that. You know, there's nothing complicated about it. And the simplicity of that was so helpful to me that I remember the first time I did the program, I was working and all of a sudden I found myself in the cafeteria. And I got down there and I'm looking around and I thought, you can't eat anything. What are you doing here? And I left and went back to my office, but it made me realize how I was using food without even, it was just mindless. It was unconscious. And so the simplicity of HMR just worked in that that's all I needed to think about. And that's all I needed to focus on. And then, as I'm sure we'll talk about, some of those other things as to why are you in the cafeteria reaching for food and why are you doing these sorts of things? Well, now I didn't have the food as a crutch, so I could start looking at some of those other issues. But as far as the food went, it was super simple. And when I did start transitioning and eating food, it took a lot of time. I was like, I saved a lot of time on HMR. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
It was just really simple.
Yeah,
So.
I will say, Barbara, chiming in again here, completely agrees with you, Mary. Simple makes it work. I'm decision free, as you were, right? So easy to not worry about cooking, shopping, or decisions. Boy, she's echoing everything that you just said right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. Really great. Bernie, you also mentioned that the simplicity of the plan was a benefit for you. Say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, like you say, like Mary said too, it's the meals, because I was on the shakes and the meals. If I remember right, 2 meals a day. And yeah, when I was working, I was actually in my own office. I owned a company with another guy, but I was the office guy basically. But yeah, you'd take the meals with you to work and pop them in the microwave and have them for lunch. And yeah, it's the simplicity of it and the quickness of giving them, of generating them, let's say. Also, you didn't have to prepare a bunch of stuff, bunch of food. That's kind of the way I roll, I guess. It was nice to do that. And I 3 shakes a day. That was easy for me also. And I mix a lot of my fruit that I eat. I always was a fruit and vegetable guy anyway. So I mix my fruit, and then I also eat some raw fruit, apples, bananas during the day. But I mix my fruit with my shakes also. So, but yeah, it's the simplicity of it. That's it's go to the shelf, pull one off, and pretty much liked all the meals except spicy meals. I don't like spicy meals, but whatever. But but no, it's quick and easy. Yeah, it's there for you. Just grab it off the shelf and throw it in the microwave, and in a minute it's done, ready to go.
Yeah,
And now,
go this.
I was going to say, like, we keep going with that. I keep thinking how whenever we're in class, we always talk about the more is better. And both of you, when we talked last week, shared how wonderful that piece was. So you didn't have to worry as much about it. So I know for a lot of people watching, hearing how you practice more is better is really supportive to them, as a lot of people are a little nervous about having the extra shakes, or for Bernie, fruits and vegetables. So if you guys can just kind of share a little bit, Mary, if you want to go first, on how helpful that part was for you.
Yes.
Yeah, in phase 1, it was critical. I used more is better for sure. The second and third time in the program, I think the first time through, I probably followed it. We did 5 shakes a day, and I just got into a routine, and that's what we did. But I really did embrace it the second and third time. And it is counterintuitive. And when you've dieted your entire life, and it's always been on restriction, you can't eat this, you can't eat this, you shouldn't eat this. The idea of being told you should eat more was like really, really hard to get used to.
Yes.
But when I did it, and I remember I was in a class and my weight loss had kind of stalled. You know, I was not progressing as I should. And I think it was Amber, who I know is with you, said, why don't you try adding another shake? Just one more shake in the day. And I was like, really? You know, really? And sure enough, it broke through. And so now I'm a firm believer. More is better. It's counterintuitive, but it works. And you just do more is better of the HMR foods or HMR approved foods, whether it be fruits, vegetables, or the shakes and entrees. So
let me interject here. Gina, fellow health coach, also has been a host here on Facebook Live. She brings up another aspect of the more is better that you're mentioning here, Mary. Also, you don't have to be hungry.
Never. I mean,
what a game changer. The idea of being able to eat more and not be hungry, but still lose weight.
Yes.
No wonder people are skeptical.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so counter to the normal dieting experience where you have to be deprived. You know, if you're not hungry, something's not working. And this is so different.
Yes.
So different.
So let me share also, if I could, Leslie, Susan, that's how she said, that's how I started More is Better too. My phase 1 coach, hold on, this thing is jumping all over the place. Wait a minute, where did you go, Susan? There you are. My phase 1 coach suggested a 4th shake. And I was like, you're giving me permission to have another? Hooray. That's what Susan writes. You know, it's important though, especially if people who are watching, if you're newer to the program, you know, this isn't magical thinking here. All it is it's a more effective way to manage calories. Calories are at the bottom of all of this. And the foods on the plan are so low calorie, but high volume. You can eat a lot of them, but the calories don't add up very quickly. If you get into that game, it's so normal, right, Leslie? Gee, maybe I not have an extra shake and I'll be okay tonight. But if you end up getting into the chips, it's usually so many more calories in the chips or the cookies or the leftover pizza or whatever it might be. So a few extra calories with More is Better actually saves you calories from the other foods that are just so easy to eat, especially if you've gotten hungry. So that's what's behind the More is Better concept, just to make sure.
It definitely is one of the biggest things that we hear in our classes. People struggle to do it. And usually, like Mary pointed out, they kind of hit a plateau. And we're like, all right, well, you're in the box. So the logical answer is your body needs more. And they just look at me like I'm crazy. And sure enough, I'm like, give it a couple weeks, throw in an extra shake, and they come off that plateau. And they're like, this is amazing. It's the best diet ever.
Really great. Bernie, chime in here on the More is Better. You took advantage of it too.
Yeah, more is better. Like I say, veggies. Like I say, I was always a big vegetable eater and a big fruit eater all through my life. But it was always those other things, the desserts and everything else that were there. So when this diet came along, which was recommended by my wife at the time, Jeanette, she was working at Bellin here, and she said, hey, they're starting this new program, and why don't you try it? And I did, and it was that, you could eat as many fruits and vegetables as you wanted. And that was really, the key to me is, and I guess I call myself a prepper, not in the way that you mean I'm waiting for I'm regretting day or whatever, but I prep my food, you know. I make my vegetables, and I like today, I came back from a 2-week trip, and after our meeting today with Leslie, I went to the grocery store and I got all my melon, all my fruit, and I cleaned it and I got it all prepped and cut. It's in the refrigerator. So if I go to, and here again too, the shelves in my house, there's no chips, there's no cookies, there's none of that stuff. So when I go to grab something, it's fruit or it's vegetables, raw vegetables. So, but I pretty much don't have any control on my fruit and vegetable intake. I eat when I want.
No limits.
Those items.
It's great. It's really great. So great. post here from Carolyn, who I worked with. Really embraced the more is better concept. Sometimes I had so many fruits and vegetables that week, I felt like a balloon, but the weight fell off best those weeks. Makes you a believer. Carolyn, I miss talking to you. Not having to make so many food decisions is so empowering. So there's your simplicity too, guys, right? Fewer food decisions. I knew every day what I could eat and pick from. It simplified the planning a lot. So that's it in a nutshell. What else do these guys have in common, Leslie, in terms of their experience with phase one?
Well, a big piece too, and it also ties in what one of our viewers has seen, the physical activity. Both Mary and Bernie really embrace that physical activity. So Bernie, before you dive in and talk about how much physical activity you get, Laura from class recalls doing her workouts at Planet Fitness at 3 a.m. with you. So you weren't the only person there all the time. You would have Laura there with you sometimes.
3
So you want to
a.m.
kind of tell everybody?
Now I know why when we told Bernie that the event tonight was going to be at 6 o'clock his time, that he said, well, I might be in bed. Now I
Yeah,
3 a.m.
that's correct.
Because they say he's not kidding.
That's great.
Yeah, when pandemic hit and they didn't open, they weren't open, or then when they did reopen, it was at 5 a.m. I said, geez, you guys got to open earlier. It's just I'm up already for 2-3 hours, you got to open up earlier.
Wow.
But
that's
no, but yeah, and that's the other thing too, for me especially, is I've got to do my exercising in the morning. If I don't, that's the time slot I got to do it. If I don't do it, then it doesn't happen, so.
It's great. It's really great.
And now, Mary, for you really embraced coming to our fitness center and doing everything, and it was a big change. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, and I'm the exact opposite. Leslie made me we had a challenge and she made us do morning exercise. And I was like, Leslie, seriously, I'm nauseous. I did it, but I seriously was going to throw up. So in fact, I have my gym bag packed. I'll be heading to the gym after this because I'm an evening exerciser, and it de-stresses me. It kind of calms me in the evening. And so it works for me. But when I started, I couldn't really walk enough to get PA in, much less do anything else. So I ended up getting into the water, and I did water aerobics and swimming because that's what I could handle with my joints. And as the weight came off, I could start doing a little bit more on land. And I remember looking at the elliptical and I'm thinking, well, that looks interesting. Well, 2 minutes. And I was like gasping for air. So, but I liked it. It didn't hurt my knees.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made it a goal that every week I would try and go up a minute. And so I did. And I'm sure I looked like, well, I don't even want to think about what I looked like in the gym, but I was there and I was trying it and I was doing it. And now the elliptical is one of my favorite things. And I'll routinely do 40 minutes. Sometimes I'll hit 50. I still swim. But yeah, the exercise, and like Bernie said, with the pandemic, it became, for me, really a stress reliever. I started walking outside, and March in Wisconsin is not always the best time to be walking outside, but I embraced it. It cleared my head, it cleared my mind. And I found that if I exercise, the rest of the things sort of fall into place as well. It's like if I take control of that,
Yes.
then my eating is better as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to work the other way. If I focus on eating, I don't necessarily exercise. But if I exercise, it works the other way.
Something about the PA. Mary, can I just say that is the most powerful aversion to morning PA that I've ever heard.
Oh,
that you
it's
actually
true.
get nauseous.
I did.
I would like to point out that she did not get sick. She survived. She was great at work that day, probably slept good that night. I think it was a wonderful challenge.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a wonderful challenge.
And Bernie, just so you know, your 3 a.m. workouts, our dear Susan here, you've just burst her balloon. She wrote, I thought I was doing well heading out for a run at 6:45 in the morning. Yeah, well done there. So, hey, simplicity and again, the theme of our event here, and we're going to really get into the meat of it as we transition to you guys talking about what you're doing differently in phase 2. But the broad theme is there something in your weight loss or weight management, whichever phase you're in, to consider doing differently? Is there something that you could do, a next step that you haven't taken yet, that could actually help you to elevate your game and get even better results than you're experiencing in the program? So you've got the simplicity. Have you embraced that in terms of the few decisions? Just make this easier. And then we just heard about the more is better, which is an elegantly simple and on the face of it, paradoxical way to by your commitment to be in the box. Eat more of the foods in the box to stay in the box. That's the way to do it. And then Mary, I really like the point that you just made about the physical activity, reinforcing more successful food choices, and that it doesn't necessarily feel like it goes the other way for you. That's a very common experience. There's something about physical activity that attracts other health habits. There's something about me. I could be dreaming about everything bagels, and to get exercise, and then I am just pleased as punch to have a shake. There's something about that physical activity that just is a game changer. So especially for those of you who are in phase 1, and maybe you haven't tackled the physical activity at the level that you could be, if in your heart of hearts, you know you could do more. Mary, you just said it actually makes things easier.
Yeah.
It makes the healthy choices easier. Can you reinforce that one more time, just in case someone's thinking, maybe I should leave this event tonight and really boost my exercise? Maybe that's my takeaway. What's your final comment on that?
I think I found when I put the focus on getting physical activity in, it forced me to build in that structure, because I work full time and I'm pretty busy, but I had to plan that in. And if I made that a priority in my planning, the rest of my planning seemed to work as well. So I would have more plans. My meals were more planned out. There was just more structure. And I just felt better. I just felt physically better, even on the day when I did it in the morning. So it just makes my whole life seem to have more order than if I don't. So
it's great. It's a huge endorsement. Thanks for that. That's perfect. Hopefully, again, if you're listening tonight and you are taking on this provocative question of, is there something that I should consider doing differently to enhance my experience here, either in phase 1, losing weight, or in phase 2? I think that's an excellent endorsement around the physical activity, if that's an area that could give you just a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more success in your experience here with HMR. All right, let's turn the corner here. We're going to talk now about phase 2. This is really where our theme comes alive. What's different this time around? Both of you guys shared examples of how what you're doing now in phase 2 is very different from how you approached it in the past, and that you're both experiencing some real benefits as a function of doing things a little bit differently. So let's hear about that. And I would one more time just engage our audience, particularly those of you who maybe have longer histories with HMR. Are there things that you've learned along the way that have helped you to raise your game in phase 2? An insight, something that you started doing differently that just had the experience working better for you? We would love to hear that as well. We're casting the net wide. So Leslie, as I turn this over to you, I do want to you could start asking them to share some of the commonalities. I just want to share their pre-post pictures very quickly one more time, just because usually people have joined since I've shown them last. So I'll just take a quick moment to show Bernie there. There you are, pre and post, beautiful difference that we see there. Well done. And then here we have Mary with your pre and post. Again, just such a testimony to the work and the commitment that you've brought to this. Okay, take it away, Leslie.
All right. And now I think, Bernie, we'll actually kind of have you kick it off first, because yours is actually pretty significant when we look at what is different this time around. So I think it's safe for you to share with everybody what your experience was with phase 2 the first time around.
Yes.
How did that go, Bernie?
It didn't go.
Exactly. So in reality, The difference is quite large this time. So now we'll be kind and you can elaborate on the wonderful things you have started doing this time around. I'll be nice.
Oh, yeah, like I said, it didn't go because after phase one, the first time I went through it, yeah, I probably left the program saying, well, I can do this, and but there again, the potato chips and all that was still on the shelves, that type of thing. So, but yeah, the second time around, things have changed a little bit. Where I am in my life, let's say, I'm alone now, so not having that stuff on the shelves is not a problem. That is, it's gone. But the second time around, I know I have to stay in eating more fruits and vegetables, and that's what I do. I'm staying with it. There's no reason I don't have to, So and it's easy for me. And like I say, I do prep all this stuff ahead of time, so it's there for me. And I make, when vegetables go on sale, and I'll cook vegetables and I'll freeze them and bring them out and that type of thing, and mix them with the HMR meals, or I create something myself with chicken. Usually it's always chicken. I usually never have beef or anything like that, but with maybe chicken, broiled chicken and things like that. But it's just tons of fruits and vegetables is and the 3 shakes. I always make 3 shakes in the morning, mix them up in a blender, and it's a blender and another quart jar, and I've got fruits that I got 7 or 8 different fruits and vegetables, and there may more than that now I think about it. But yeah, that gets me through the day. Also, with if I come in and I want to take a little snack at 10 in the morning, I'll pour me a half a quart or something of that shake instead of like I say, grabbing something else or grabbing some raw vegetables. But for me, I guess for me, it's easy. It's simplistic that way too. If you can prep those foods ahead of time and have them in your fridge, they're there to grab and you munch on those. It's like when I come to our meetings here on Thursday morning, when I go to town to do some shopping or whatever, I've always take a shake with me and maybe some raw vegetables or some fruit. And that's what I continually do. Yes. So I know I've got to stick with that plan, and I know it's working because I am losing a little more weight as I go along here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you said it, without phase 2, you're out in the world of the potato chips. Isn't that the truth? This is such a big deal, from Leslie, from our vantage point, right? Where you've worked with someone, you've seen someone work so hard in phase 1 to lose the weight. What's it like? I'm not talking about Bernie per se, but when someone says, you know what, I think I'm good about phase 2. I'm gonna give this a crack on my own. What goes through your mind? Don't edit yourself.
I was gonna say, it's so funny because I've had several patients that are like, oh, Leslie, great. Thank you so much. You've taught me so much. I'm like, I've taught you nothing. I don't teach you till phase 2. You can't leave yet. We've worked on like staying in the box when you're in the program. And it's true. So Bernie, I actually, when he came back, I just loved it. I'm like, this is great. And when they come into phase 2, we emphasize, take those behaviors with you. What can you still use? What will you utilize? And he took it to heart. I mean, he sent us a picture of his salads that he prepped. He does them. He makes 7 salads. He puts it all together, wraps them up. They're in his fridge. So it couldn't be easier from that standpoint. So whenever someone new comes in, I'm like, listen to this guy. He's telling the truth. This is how you can make it work long term. It's just been fabulous.
It's great. Leslie, real quick. Tracy says, I got to say hi from Washington State to my wonderful sister, Leslie. You're an inspiration.
Oh, she's so cute. And she listens to me too. I tell her what to do, and she did fabulous. I will not share her story because she would totally kill me if I did, but she did fabulous. So it's true. So we'll leave it at that, Tracy. I love you and won't say anything else.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah. So speaking to our audience, if you're in phase 1 and there's a little voice in your head saying, gee, you know what? Maybe I'll give this a crack on my own after I lose the weight. Hopefully Bernie's story and just, what you're hearing from Leslie and me, stop that voice dead in its tracks. Phase 2 is your insurance policy. That's what it is. And why would someone be able to keep off a significant weight loss on their own? How has that worked out for people in the past? It's a shared experience that everyone has. It's a lesson learned. So join phase 2 and really begin the work, as you alluded to, Leslie, of learning a widening variety of skills with other healthy foods to round out your healthy lifestyle. Really important. So, Mary, should we hear a little bit about what was different for you?
Yeah, well,
Again, that question that you asked yourself, what am I going to do different this time?
yeah, that's exactly it. As I said, I did HMR multiple times and lost the weight successfully every time. And I think as I reflect back, I was so focused on the weight loss and hitting that weight goal, then I never really thought about, and what are you going to do to keep it? Because all through phase 1, I was just zoned in on losing the weight. And I didn't think about what it was taking to lose the weight other than the HMR food, because it was so simple, and not about the behaviors. And so I got to phase 2, and I did stay in phase 2 a little bit. I'd come to the meetings, but I never embraced the process, and I never embraced the changes that were going to be required. So this time, when I started approaching phase 2, I had in my head that I couldn't be successful eating food. And so I didn't know what I was going to do, but in my head, I believed that if I started eating food, I would just automatically gain the weight back. And so we have a wonderful medical team at Bellin Health and the coaches. And so purposely started transitioning before I got anywhere near my goal weight, because I needed to prove to myself that I could eat food and not balloon back up. And so started with a very slow transition. And I know HMR has their transition plan, but they slowed me down way more than that. So I continued with my HMR foods and really went from shakes to adding half an entree, not a full entree, but a half an entree. And amazingly, I did not gain weight. I continued to lose. And I'm like, Mary, you're eating food. And then, I had some vegetables and I continued to lose. And so by doing that, it broke that mindset in me. And I continued with the support and the resources that it got me through phase 1 in this modified phase 1, phase 2 transition. And so then I started looking at, okay, what are you going to do differently? And that question that my relative asked. And I started looking at all the things that we had done in phase 1 and all the things that people talked about and realized, well, you never did any of those. So you never tracked in phase 2. You dropped the HMR foods pretty much as soon as you got done. You got some exercise, but it was more coincidental. You didn't really plan for the exercise. And more weeks out of not, I didn't send totals in to see where I was at. And yes, Leslie, I still owe you my totals, so I will get those in. But I didn't keep totals because I wasn't tracking. So I just, like Bernie, assumed I've got this. And I would show up to the meetings, but I wasn't embracing it. So I was like, okay, if you're going to do this, you have to do some things differently. And so I started tracking. I am not one for writing in a journal, but MyFitnessPal as an app works great. And so I have something. Everybody's on their phone all the time anyway. So I go on my phone and I enter it in and it's there. And the exercise we talked about, that I really have made a commitment to that, and the HMR foods. And I experimented with different things as I transitioned, but I found that I really like the shakes. And in fact, I have one that I'm sipping on periodically in coffee because I love coffee. And those keep me full and keep me satisfied. I tried other things. They didn't keep me full. They didn't keep me satisfied. So I became much more attuned to how I felt and what I needed and what was working for me. And so I think a lot more self-awareness of what's going to work for you. Unlike Bernie, I didn't really pay that much attention to fruits and vegetables. Now I routinely get 50, 55 a week.
Wow.
Because
Wonderful. It's great.
I may just, when I get home after exercising, if I'm hungry, maybe I make up a plate of vegetables and have that with another shake because it tastes good. So I think what I've thought about that I want to eat has definitely changed. I don't even think about the chips and the candy and the things that I used to have around because I really like these other things and they make me feel good. And so I've just attuned more to how I feel. And it just happens to be all the things that they talked about that you need to do to support phase 2. And gosh, they work. So, yeah.
Really good. Kate I think it's Kate who's manning the comments from HMRs and summarized it here. Mary's phase 2 tips this time around. Track. You just said that was a different behavior for you.
Huge difference.
Yes. Eat HMR foods. And, you talked a lot last week when we spoke about how much you enjoy the HMR shakes. You were right after my own heart on that one. But I like what you said they accomplish for you. They keep you full and satisfied.
Yeah.
And you said nothing else does that for you. So if it works, it's not a crutch, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And obviously for you, Mary, a huge tool.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's somebody in up here in my phase 2 class that talked about making conscious decisions and is it worth it? Is it worth it calories?
Right.
And that really hit home with me. And so I've tried different snacks during, midday when I'm hungry, and they ended up not being worth it because they didn't fill me up. They didn't satisfy me. But when I'd have my HMR shake, it satisfied me. It filled me up. It was a no-brainer. I just went right back to having my shakes. And there are some things that I have, and it's like, yeah, it's worth it, and I enjoy it. But then you enjoy it because it's worth it, and you build it in, and it's part of my plan, and I track it, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But the shakes, for me, they're just a gold mine.
Yep. And you mentioned the PA is different this time, and the 50 servings of fruits and vegetables, which lo and behold, what do we have there? Those are the 3 imperatives of phase 2. Those are the triple imperative. They're all to-do behaviors. They're simple, measurable, direct. That's a perfect endorsement. Really, really great. And that is the foundation right there for a more successful experience in phase 2. What else would you add there? Anything in response? I know that you, actually, Leslie, you told me that Bernie sort of crushes the more is better at times in phase 2.
I was going to say he does. That was one of the biggest things that they really brought to the table there. Not just with exercise, he does when he bikes all over and goes there at 3 a.m, but they do with the meal replacements and the fruits and vegetables. I love that they both touched on that because so often people come to phase 2 and just instantly want to drop the meal replacements down to 14 and get back to having fresh foods and doing other pieces. But the reality, like Mary said, the tools help them stay accountable and on track. And they both really embrace that. So Bernie, do you want to just remind everybody again of the wonderful things you do with those meal replacements to really practice more is better?
Yeah, with the meal replacements, I'll heat up a meal replacement and all these vegetables that I've cooked up and come out of the freezer or whatever, I mix 1.5 cups, 2 cups in with it. I don't call it a stew. I don't call it a soup. I call it a stoop, S-T-U-P. But anyway, everything I eat is like that pretty much. But and like I say, I eat as many fruits and vegetables. The other thing is we didn't touch on yet here, neither maybe you're going to do is, which I learned in phase 2, which I wasn't doing, back at any time, was label reading. And also I look at every label on everything I buy, I used to have these, there was these soups I would buy them every October because they would go on sale, and they were low calorie, but they had sodium content of 1,300, 1,400, 1,500. Once I looked at her, I got rid of all of them. I had like 60 cans. I got rid of them. I just got rid of them. So label reading is very important for me also. And I think Mary would probably say the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I would add the portion control. So as I was bringing foods in, I'd pick up these little 100-calorie snack pack things. And I liked nuts. So I got a 100-calorie snack pack, and I remember opening it and pouring it in the palm of my hand and thinking, that's it? That's all I get? And decided that was not worth it. So I'm like, if I'm going to spend 100 calories, I want it to be worth something. So I went back to my shake. But so I think the portion control and what exactly is in the foods that we're eating.
You guys are so, there's so many different ways that you stay in action, the behaviors that you've just shared with us, but you also just are, I like the way you said it, Mary, like you decided to really embrace process, embrace the program, and, right down to reading the labels, like it seems you're pretty compulsive about it. And I mean that in a good way, Bernie. You've brought a level of awareness and that just fuels your commitment here. It's really wonderful to hear that. I do want to ask one final question before we finish here. And one more time, I'll ask our viewers the same question, because everyone who's watching, and I see other people who I know. Larry, so great to have you back here watching. Pam, Dave, wonderful. You guys are all working hard. Mary, Bernie, you guys are working hard. And just as hearing you speak, harder than any other time in phase 2. It's a lot of work. Why is all of that work worth it for you? Why is it worth it for you to be putting in all of this work? Just right off the top of your head. Bernie, what comes to mind?
Well, it's getting compliments from people. That's one thing, I guess. It's
Absolutely.
Come on, let's be honest.
That doesn't get old.
And I do feel healthier. There's no doubt about it. Like I say, less aches and pains, in my knees and stuff, and joints and stuff.
Yes.
But it's just there's an overall feeling of being more healthier. Also, it's just that's it. What more can I say?
Absolutely. You don't have to say anything else. That says so much. There's so much under that. You could write a book with that being the title. Robin agrees. To feel better. Really good. I want to live. Christian, thanks for bringing the depth on that one. Mary, what's your first reaction to this? This was not in our notes about what we would talk about, so I'm kind of hitting this with you. Why is it worth it for you to put in all the work that you're putting in?
It's been life-changing for me, and I get emotional actually thinking about it. I don't think I realized how much the weight impacted my life until I lost it. And so to be able to go out and take a 4-mile walk and not even think about it, just strap on the tennies and be able to do it. To get reservations, I like the Milwaukee Brewers, to go to a baseball game and be able to fit in the seats and not even think about it. To go to a movie theater and know that you can sit there because you will. Or to sit in a lawn chair and not have to worry about it collapsing because you're too heavy. The differences are so night and day that, like I said, I don't think you know it until you appreciate and go through it. So yeah, what Christian said about living, it's you don't realize that you're not really fully living and embracing your life until you are able to. So yeah, don't ever give up because it's worth it. It's worth it.
Beautifully said. Hey, Leslie, how do you feel having been a part of the success that our guests have accomplished and are accomplishing?
I always think, because whenever they get to that point and they get into phase 2, and they always tell us thank you, and Amber can relate to this as well. And I think, you don't thank me, I thank you for letting me be a part of this and watching them and seeing the changes from when they first walk in to where they are now. And I think, like Mary said, they're a whole different person. And it's the same with everybody. They approach life differently. They talk about doing stuff. They go on trips now. I mean, Bernie hikes all over. He just got back from South Carolina. I think his son brings him down there to always help build stuff. But I mean, he's able to do so much that people couldn't do before. And it's a lot of things I don't think people realize they're missing out on it. So I love being able to see it and know that we gave them some of the tools to do it and help them, and that they can always come back. I think that's like such a huge message that Mary and Bernie both expressed. You're not ever gone. It's for life. I mean, you can come back at any time, and that's how this works. It's a process. So I just love being able to be part of it.
Great.
And see them do it.
Great. Well said, Leslie. All right. Well, we are at the end of our event. Our goal tonight was to ask the question, or have you asked yourselves the question, is there anything to do differently to support your ongoing success with HMR? Sometimes it might be lessons from the past. Sometimes it's hearing how others have elevated their game. We've heard that from Bernie and Mary. We've heard it in the comments as well. We always want these events to be a shot in the arm, but it's also helpful to once in a while step back and just see, is there another step to take that will bring you closer to your goals? They're your goals for your weight, your goals for your health. And so it's always good to ask that question. Is there something else to add in? Is there something to do differently? So hopefully this conversation helped you to do that tonight. I want to thank you, Leslie, for joining us here. You've been an awesome partner in pulling this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And Bernie and Mary, thank you for sharing your experience in the program. You were fantastic. This was really a really fun discussion that we had here. And then I always have to end by just thanking all of you who are watching, our viewers. Thank you for being here, for watching, and thank you for the fabulous comments. That's one of the frustrations here. We can't reflect every one of them. Some are hilarious. So many acknowledging comments here. Leslie, Bernie, Mary, you have to make sure you rewatch the event, the recording of it, because they're just wonderful comments. So to our audience, thank you. You've been great. Good luck this week, everybody, and see you next Thursday. Take care.
Go Packers.
Thank you.
Go Pack.
Go
Bye,
Pack,
guys.
go.